just another day at the office for your Texas Rangers. With Yu Darvish scratched from his scheduled start, adjustments will be made to cover his absence. But if you watch this team the last few days, nothing seems to get them down. In fact, this group seems to be forging an identity, one that has Ron Washington's signature all over it. Playing hard, enjoying the game and each other. Tonight, they look to run their win streak to 4 when they meet the Minnesota Twins next on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball is presented by AT&T Uverse TV. Well, welcome back to the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. It is Target Field, the site of tonight's meeting between your Texas Rangers and the Minnesota Twins. And welcome in, everyone, along with Mark McLemore, Steve Busby. Glad you could join us on this Tuesday night of Rangers baseball. And it has been quite a road trip thus far. 5 games in the books, 4 on the winning side. And the Rangers, Mac, have really turned into an offensive force for these last 5 games.
They really have, and I think, once Prince Fielder went down, and he hadn't been hitting anyway, but once he went down, things really didn't look good, but this team has responded, and they've responded well. They've come out, everybody, 1 through 9, even the guys that don't start the ball game, if they come into the ball game, they seem to contribute somehow, and they've just been swinging the bats, and they've just been absolutely on fire over these last 5 games.
How about that average with runners in scoring position? Everybody had said, well, this club can't get it done. 422 is not too shabby, just in case you hadn't noticed. But the Rangers will need to keep it going here tonight. They'll try to make it 4 wins in a row, and Scott Baker gets the call in place of the injured Yu Darvish. We'll be back to Target Field with more right after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. Take the EcoBoost Challenge to see why Ford is the best in Texas. By AT&T Uverse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PIC-ATT. Rethink possible. by the all-new Mazda 3 with seamless connectivity, and by Southwest Airlines. Find Southwest Airlines fares online only at southwest.com. Well, a very comfortable evening. Not much of a breeze drifting in from left field here tonight, and temperature in the low 70s, very low humidity. So a great evening for baseball. Before we get things underway, let's send it down to the field. John Radigan is standing by. John?
Yeah, Buzz, it's amazing to have gauged the reaction of the players when they got the Yu Darvish news. They've gotten so used to injury news that they really didn't have much of a reaction, although everyone hoping this is not an injury, but just a stiff neck.
I hope it's just a little bump in the road. Certainly you don't want your number one pitcher to come, be out for more than a start or two, that's for sure. But we just hope for the best. We'll know more when we learn more. But right now it's just a scratch for the night, and we'll see what the future holds.
Mike Maddox went on to say it's actually been kind of fun for him and the rest of this team to figure out what they're up against and then to beat it, as they have been doing this entire road trip. I guess that's about the only way you can look at it when news like this keeps happening. We have got the lineups in the first pitch coming your way for Game 2 between the Rangers and the Twins. It's all coming your way from Target Field next on Fox Sports Southwest.
The Rangers have won 3 in a row. They're looking for the second longest win streak of the year if they can get a victory here tonight. Take a look at the Southwest Airlines Texas Rangers starting lineup for tonight. Shin-Soo Choo back in the outfield. He's playing left and leading off. Elvis Andrews follows. Then it's the first baseman, Mitch Moreland. Getting cleaned up, the third baseman, Adrian Beltre. Alex Rios in right. Chris Jimenez, his second straight start behind the plate. Leonis Martin bats 7th, plays center. Donnie Murphy is the DH here this evening. And batting 9th, the second baseman, Rougned Odor.
In the Sonic scouting report, Mr. Phil Hughes won his 5th ball game in his last outing with a 5-1 record. This will be his 6th start against the Texas Rangers, and he's only given up 6 walks in 9 starts on the year. That's pretty good. That's going to bode well for this Rangers offense, who's swinging the bats pretty good.
Well, Phil Hughes on the hill, and before we get too far along, we got an update on Yu Darvish's condition. He had the MRI this afternoon, and the results apparently read by Dr. Drew Dawson back in Dallas, and he said that the results were unremarkable, and said it looked very much like the MRI that Darvish had during spring training, during that flare-up in spring training. So Nothing major. No structural damage that was apparent, and the next start yet to be determined. But you just have to see how he is tomorrow, which is very good news for the Rangers. Now we'll take a look at the Twins defense behind Phil Hughes here tonight for Game 2 of this series. Chris Parmalee gets a start in left field tonight. Aaron Hicks in center. Oswaldo Arcia is in right field. Joe Mauer at first. Dozier and Escobar up the middle. Trevor Plouffe at third, and Kurt Suzuki catching the 27-year-old right-hander, Phil Hughes. As Matt told you, Phil Hughes very much a mainstay of this Twins pitching staff. He is off to a great start since coming over, signing a 3-year deal with the Twins in the offseason. Of course, Hughes spending the majority of his big league time with the New York Yankees, and Yankees more or less cut him loose. First pitch of the evening to Shin-Soo Choo is in for strike one. Choo hitting at .306, 6 home runs, 15 RBI. He is 1 for 7 against Phil Hughes and fouls the next pitch back. And the count moves to 0-2. 69 degrees at first pitch. The wind out of the north-northeast, about 13 miles an hour. That would be almost directly in from center field toward home plate. 0-2 pitch. Now a ball and 2 strikes. Well, the Rangers back a game over 500. First time they've been over 500 in about 2.5 weeks. They are now 13-12 away from Globe Life Park in Arlington. So playing well on the road, hitting better than any club in baseball on the road, a .286 team average. They bring all that in here, and the gaudy offensive numbers from the first 5 games of this road swing. And another foul ball. Count remains a ball and 2 strikes, or 2 balls and 2 strikes, excuse me. Ron Washington, as soon as this game becomes official, will be the longest tenured manager in Ranger Washington Senator franchise history. This will be his 1187th game managed. There are the road batting average. You can see the Rangers with a 3 percentage point lead over Baltimore. Lazy fly ball out to left. Parmalee coming on, and Choo is retired for out number 1. Next will be Elvis Andrus. Elvis, an outstanding day yesterday, 3-hit game, and he had the 2 big RBIs on the double that put the Rangers on top in that 5th inning, put them on top to stay. So he has not had a whole lot of success against Phil Hughes, just 1 for 13. But the way he's swinging the bat lately, I'm not sure that the past record against an individual pitcher means much. He lines one to right field, and there you go.
No, it doesn't.
No.
That first pitch there, what do you think? No, that past record means nothing, especially when the guy's swinging the bat really well, like Elvis is doing right now. You see, he got up there and was just being aggressive again. I think that's been part of his success, not taking too many pitches, seeing something that he likes, got a fastball in from Hughes and just took it to right field. So being very aggressive and not missing his pitch.
Well, the first base runner of the night, Elvis aboard. Andrus, of course, among the league leaders with stolen bases. And up there now is Mitch Moreland. Mitch at .273. This is 4th outing in the number 3 spot, as Andrus gets a calling card from Phil Hughes. Mitch with his first 3 starts of his professional career hitting 3rd. And he waves at a fastball a little bit up in the strike zone. It's 0-1. See, Mitch, good success against the Twins going back to the start of 2011. Mitch is an even .300 against Twins pitching. Got Elvis at first, 1 out in the top of the 1st inning. Hughes, a long set, and now time called, and well, that's dangerous. You get a pitcher that just starts his motion and then try and stop it. Hughes would have been better served going ahead and going through with that.
Yeah, that's tough. And, you know, a lot of hitters will try and do that to a pitcher, actually. But as a base stealer, you don't like that pitcher to get up there and hold the ball too long. You start getting a little antsy over there.
Fly ball pretty well hit to center field. That chases Hicks back. In front of the warning track, he stops, makes the catch. Elvis a bluff to second as he tagged up. He stays at first, and he's there with 2 outs now for Adrian Beltre. Now the breeze drifting in from left center and center. This ballpark play a little bit bigger than it did yesterday, but still not like it does early in the year and late in the year when the temperatures are a lot cooler.
Well, this ballpark doesn't look very big, but it sure plays that way.
And Hughes very well aware of Elvis at first base. Andrews 4th in the American League with 13 stolen bases. There are your leaders, and Elvis down there 3 off the top spot. Fastball to Beltre is up and in for ball 1. Adrian had his 7-game hitting streak snapped here yesterday afternoon, and average still at 289. 5 home runs, 20 driven in, and he has touched Hughes for a home run in the past. That's out of play to the right, and it evens the count at 1-1.
You know, even though Beltre took an 0-for yesterday, he was still swinging the bat very well. He just missed a couple of pitches and actually ended up being strikeouts, but he was right on them, just missed them, and that's what you really look for. You're not going to get a hit every day. Doesn't matter who you are, except maybe Tulowitzki, but
yeah,
you're gonna swing at some pitches, have good swings, have good at bats, and still make it out.
So even though Beltre's streak stopped yesterday, it didn't in his mind. It didn't put an end to how well he's swinging the bat.
No, absolutely not. I think when as a hitter, when you're swinging the bat well, it doesn't really matter. Well, you'd like to get a hit, but it doesn't matter that you do. You want to feel good, and as long as you feel good and you're having good at bats, day to day, at bat to at bat, in your mind, that's all that matters. You feel good. You feel like you've got a chance to do some damage every time you get in that batter's box.
Beltre down in the count now. A ball and 2 strikes after the last foul ball. And the pitch, boy, Adrian expanding that strike zone, and kind of like Vladdy Guerrero on that one. Fouls it back, still 1-2.
I think he saw that hole over there with Elvis.
Yeah,
Elvis kind of broke a little bit, and he saw a chance over there to hit it in the hole and possibly end up with a 1st and 3rd situation.
Hughes studying the signs from Kurt Suzuki. The right-hander's ready. And a looper again off to the right. Well, if Hughes stays out there and gets one on the plate, Beltre will have a shot at that hole. He's not doing anything but trying to drive it that way.
He might have a shot at that deck out there in right field, actually. He can drive the ball a long way the other way.
Yeah. See the second baseman Dozier a couple of steps toward the middle of the diamond, so that makes that hole on the right side even larger. Well, he's going to take a shot at it to deep right field. Back goes Arcia. He is at the wall and makes the catch. He took a shot at that overhang, and Adrian comes up just a little bit short. Rangers gone on the first. They have a hit and stranded runner. After half inning of play, Rangers nothing. Twins coming up. Twins coming to bat against one of their former teammates, Scott Baker. Take a look at the Twins lineup tonight. Brian Dozier leads off. Joe Mauer, the first baseman, is next. Trevor Plouffe, I should say, 30 career home runs, all-time high here at Target Field. Oswaldo Arcia is the cleanup hitter. Josh Willingham DHing tonight. Chris Parmelee is in left. Kurt Suzuki catches. Eduardo Escobar plays short and bats eighth, and batting ninth, the center fielder Aaron Hicks.
And the Sonic scouting report on Mr. Scott Baker. He's 0-1 with a 6.3 ERA. Lost his last outing to the Tigers last Friday. 63-48. 159 starts with the Twins, and this will be his first start against his former ball club.
Scott Baker facing Brian Dozier, who's hitting at 246. Dozier 11 home runs, 26 driven in, and he has been a big spark plug for this Twins offense, although the Twins offense has gone dormant the last couple of weeks. They got off to a very quick start and kind of settled down a little bit. High fly ball hit to left field. Shin-Soo Choo coming in. The breeze will knock down whatever carry that might have had. And that is out number one. Dozier flies out to Choo. Joe Mauer coming up next. Let's take a look at the rest of the Ranger defense. It's delivered to you tonight by DeMontron RV. You saw Shin-Soo in left. Leonis Martin in center. Alex Rios is in right. Mitch Moreland at first. Rougned Odor and Elvis Andrus up the middle. Adrian Beltre at third. And Chris Jimenez behind the plate. Rangers 35 errors, the fourth most in the American League, although they are in the top half in the month of May in defense. They're starting to turn things around. Here's Joe Mauer, and he takes strike one. Mauer, a former battery mate of Scott Baker here in the Twin Cities. 284 for Mauer. Joe steps in with a 6-game hitting streak alive. Off speed, and that catches the inside corner. 0-2. Scott Baker made his first appearance at the major league level back in 2007 with the Twins. Went 9-9 that year, won 11 games the next year, and then 15 in 2009. One of the up-and-coming stars for Minnesota before elbow problems got to him. Chopper slowly hit to the right side. Moreland cuts it off and underhands to Baker covering. 2 up, 2 gone. Baker and Moreland team up to get Mauer out, and now Trevor Plouffe will come up.
A nice pitch by Baker going inside a little bit and getting Mauer to roll over on it. And just tap a nice little soft one over to Mitch Moreland for the out.
Talking about Baker, his first few years with Minnesota, a 12-game winner in 2010. That was the first year that this ballpark was open, so he was able to have a pretty good portion of his 29 starts that year in this facility. And you would think for a guy like Baker, when he was throwing as he did then, 92, 93 mile an hour fastball, a good sinker, that this would be an ideal place to pitch.
Oh, there's no question. Sinker baller in this ballpark. You know, if you make a mistake and leave one up in the air, it's still probably not going to go out of the ballpark.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that was what Scott Baker was talking about after the start against the Tigers, that he just couldn't get the ball down. He said all my mistakes were not only in the middle of the plate, but up a little bit, like being on a tee.
You know, the one thing you don't want to have from a sinker baller is for him to get it up in the air.
Well, how about that sinker going down and away, and Plouffe down swinging. The Twins retired in order by Scott Baker. We'll go to the second inning at Target Field. Rangers nothing, Twins nothing. weekend and the induction of Ambassador Tom Schieffer into the Texas Rangers Baseball Hall of Fame. Join us at the Dr. Pepper Texas Rangers Hall of Fame luncheon. That's coming up Friday, August the 22nd. Tickets are now on sale at texasrangers.com/Hall of Fame, or you can call 817-436-5933. Alex Rios leading off the Rangers' second inning. This is inside. Hughes now has a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. Rios a 9-game hitting streak, and he has pummeled Phil Hughes in the past. 458 the average. Fouls that next pitch back. It's a ball and 2 strikes. Rios 9 games hitting at .436. 17 for 39. 3 doubles, 2 triples, 7 RBI, 8 runs scored. Other than that, he's been real quiet. 1-2 pitch. Line drive, base hit to right field. Well, the streak continues for Alex Rios. It's now 10 consecutive that he has hit safely in. And he's got a pretty good streak going here at Target Field, too. How about career-wise in this facility? A .354 average, and that was before that last at bat. That's going to be up a little bit.
I'm just kind of shocked he got a hit right there.
Isn't that something?
Highest batting average against any team, and .458 against Mr. Hughes. A little shocking he got a hit.
Oh, boy. Here's Chris Jimenez. A check swing strike, 0-1. Chris, a .412 hitter since joining the ball club. His contract was purchased a week ago today from Round Rock. This is his 5th start. In his first 4 games, he's driven in a run per game. Rios will draw a throw from Hughes. Rangers have won all the 4 games prior to tonight that Jimenez has started. Rios a pretty good lead at first. And a line drive, base hit to center field. Rios will check in at second. Hicks bobbles the ball momentarily, but didn't get far enough away to allow Alex to advance. But back-to-back singles start the Rangers' second. First and second for Leonys Martin. And Jimenez continuing to swing a very magic wand.
Another pitch up in the zone, and Jimenez doesn't miss it. And I think that's really been the reason that this Rangers team has been swinging the bats well, is that they haven't been missing the mistakes that they're getting. That goes a long way. You'll see guys foul a ball off, and they'll, kind of shake their head a little bit, knowing that they missed it. They probably won't see it again.
Right.
But this Rangers team has not been missing their pitches.
Martin around to bunt. A good bunt down the third baseline. Plouffe charging. Off-balance throw, and just in time with Dozier, the second baseman, covering. Well, anytime you have Leonys Martin bunting for a sacrifice, it turns into bunting for a base hit because he has that kind of speed.
He does. The bunting ability. Perfect bunt there. It was almost like you said, Buzz, almost a bunt for a base hit.
So the sacrifice goes 5-4. Rios to third, Jimenez to second. There's just 1 out now. Donnie Murphy coming to the plate. The Ranger DH tonight. Good job by Leonys Martin.
You see him put the bunt down. He wants that third baseman to come and get it, because then there's not going to be a play at third base. And that's exactly what he did. He made Plouffe come down and make that play.
Murphy drives one dead center field. Hits back at the wall. Leaps. Goodbye. Oh, he got it. Unbelievable. Rios tags and scores. I thought that ball was out of here. What a play by Aaron Hicks to save a couple of runs as he reached over the wall to bring that back in.
Murphy gets a pitch out over the plate, and again, not wasting any time. Wow, Hicks makes a spectacular play going up and over the wall to pull that back in.
What an effort by Aaron Hicks. He turned a home run into a sacrifice fly. The Rangers are on top 1-0, and gets a salute from Donnie Murphy. And a few choice words, I would think, too.
I'm sure.
Man, so Donnie Murphy with a A 409-foot sacrifice fly. On to third went Chris Jimenez, and give them both credit, both base runners, Rios and Jimenez, give them credit for getting back to tag up.
They did. Smart base running on both of their parts, and what they did was they watched Hicks go back to that wall, and he looked as though he might be able to make a play on it, and my goodness, he does make a play. Great effort there, great catch, great concentration.
Deke me, tell you that. Now the Rangers on top, 1-0. Here's Rugdet Odor, and he takes high. It runs the count to a ball and 2 strikes.
I think he fooled everybody in the ballpark, including Phil Hughes. Hughes was standing on the mound and, thinking it was gone, didn't go to back up or anything like that. Just, he thought it was gone.
And it was for a second. Now the 1-2 pitch. Got him on the fist, and Odor fights it off foul. Rugdet brings a 4-game hitting streak going, all the games on this trip. Talked to you before the ball game about Odor, a 500 hitter during that 4-game streak. 5 RBI, a pair of triples. 10th Ranger, by the way, along with all the other things that he's accomplished. 10th Ranger ever with 2 triples in the same game. Lines one down the left field line. It is slicing into the corner, fair ball. It bounces into the seats for a ground rule double, and Odor with an opposite field double drives home Chris Jimenez, and the Rangers lead it 2-0. I'll tell you what, that guy can hit now. We're talking about using the entire field.
And that's exactly what he's doing, line to line. He wants to go up the middle. He throw it there. That's what he's going to do. He's going to try. He's going to do with the ball what the pitcher gives him. Hughes goes up and away. Odor stays with it and hits a rope down that left field line. Another 2-out RBI, and that's another reason this team's scoring a lot of runs. They're getting a lot of hits and driving in runs with 2 outs.
So a pair of runs across on 3 hits. Odor at second now, and back to the top of the order for Shin-Soo Choo. And he fouls off that first pitch. It is 0-1. Choo skied to left field as he led the ball game off tonight. 304 the average. He's the team leader with the 6 home runs and 15 RBI. Hughes a check of second, the 0-1. A ball and a strike.
Buzz, what does that do to a pitcher when you know that team is coming up there being aggressive, swinging at the first or second pitch that you throw up there as a pitcher?
Well, I thought, Mac, it always made it easier on me as a pitcher. I made sure I didn't throw you a good fastball in the middle of the strike zone. I didn't want to throw you a get-ahead pitch, either slider or fastball. But if I could, there's a hot shot to first. We'll continue that. Remind me that. We'll take that a couple of steps further. Mauer to the bag, and the Rangers are gone. But they take the lead. 2 runs, 3 hits, 1 left. On to the bottom of the second. Rangers 2, Twins nothing. upcoming broadcasts. That's all thanks to the good folks at AT&T. Simply use hashtag Southwest Fan Photo, and your photo might be selected to be aired during the season. We will show you tonight's selection a little bit later on in the telecast. Well, the Rangers offense continuing to perform in high gear. They have taken a 2-0 lead after a couple of turns at bat. Now the Twins coming up for their second time. Oswaldo Arcia to face Scott Baker. Off speed, and it's high and outside for ball one. Arcia, 136 the average, no homers and an RBI. Just called up prior to yesterday's game to give the Twins some more outfield support. They really for a while had only Aaron Hicks, their center fielder, as the only real outfielder available to them. Josh Willingham was on the DL, and Arcia out. He hits this one high and deep to right field. Back looking up is Leonis Martin, and that ball's gone. Arcia, moonshot over the scoreboard in right field, and he gets half the Twins' deficit back. It's 2-1 Texas.
Arcia gets a pitch, supposed to be in. Tails back just a little bit too much out over the plate and up in the zone, and it looks like Arcia's happy spot.
And had a lot of hang time to it, and just sneaked over the top of that wall out there. No, 2-1 now. Rangers still on top, and Josh Willingham is up there. Willingham just off the disabled list, had that fractured left wrist. 1 for 3 in his career against Scott Baker. Fouls it off to the right, and Baker now with the advantage at 0-2. Well, Mac, we were talking about an aggressive team, and certainly the Twins are, and the Rangers are right now the way they're swinging the bats. But as a pitcher, it works to your advantage if you can keep the ball out of the middle of the plate early in the count. You get a lot of swinging strikes. You get a lot of balls put into play early in the count if you can throw, on either corner and get guys off balance a little bit. It's the guys that I used to hate to face were guys that had holes in their swings but covered it up by taking those pitches. And that's where you wanted to go, and they said, no, I'm not swinging at that till you get me 2 strikes. Elvis, and on the edge of the outfield grass, throws out Willingham, 1 out. But a patient hitter that you couldn't get to bite on a slider just off the plate, and that fastball up and in, he just kind of spit at. Those are the guys I hate.
Yeah, as a hitter, you like that guy that you know is going to be around the plate. He's going to give you something to hit. He's going to challenge you. Hey, you're not going to be up there looking for a walk. So the first thing you see that you like, you want to go swing at that one.
Here's Chris Parmelee now to face Scott Baker. And Parmelee, first ball swinging, lost one out of play down the left side. Adrian over to take a look, but that's 4 or 5 rows deep. Parmelee hitting at an even 200. 3 home runs, 7 driven in this year. Over his last 7 times to the plate as he works against his former teammate in Scott Baker. And another foul off to the left. Baker staying inside on Parmelee and getting in there pretty good. 0-2. Parmelee in his career, 16 home runs at home out of his career totals. This one lined to right, but coming in a couple of steps. Alex Rios handles that. 2 gone. And that'll bring up Kurt Suzuki.
Baker did a good job of staying inside on Parmelee. Kept jamming him and jamming him, and finally got him to bite and got it in on his hands. A nice little lazy fly ball out to right field.
Suzuki, a .299 hitter as he steps to the plate. Off-season acquisition by the Twins, and he takes strike one. Suzuki 2 for 4 in yesterday's ball game. How about the start that he's gotten off to in a Twins uniform? Hit .395 in the last 11 ball games here at home. Suzuki has always been a streaky offensive player, but he has been rock solid behind the plate. 1-1 pitch. Popped up. Not a lot of foul territory here. Jimenez over to take a look, but that's 1.5 rows deep over the Twins dugout. Checking today to see exactly how little foul room there is. You're 46 feet from home plate to the backstop. Of course, it's rounded off, and then it goes down parallel to the foul line. So it's 46 feet from the foul lines and home plate to the seats. And that's not a whole lot of room.
That's no room. There are closets that are bigger than that. Yeah.
1-2 pitch. Couldn't get him to offer that slider, and it's 2-2.
I think you like that as a hitter. So if you hit one of those little pop-ups like he just did there, you have a pretty good chance that it's going to go out and you're going to stay alive.
Baker okays the sign, goes to the wind. And a line drive to right. On comes Rios, and fighting the lights. Has to make sure he plays his side saddle, and that'll do it. Oswaldo Arcia with a leadoff home run gets the Twins on the board. We'll go to the third. It's now 2-1 Texas. Streaming sports service is celebrating 12 years. Join the millions of subscribers and watch every out-of-market game live on True HD and over 400 devices. Visit TexasRangers.com for details. Rangers come to bat in the top of the third inning, leading 2-1. Elvis Andrus leads things off. Mitch Moreland and Adrian Beltre to follow. The first pitch is in at the knees for strike one. Elvis shot a base hit to right field his first time up against Hughes. Elvis on a pretty good roll offensively on this trip, as are a lot of his Ranger teammates. That's low and inside. Andrus now a 4-game hitting streak. He has gone 8 for 17. Hughes back to the plate. Hard hit. Dozier goes down to one knee to get that sinker hit to him, and short hop, and he had to throw Elvis out. One away.
Again, Elvis hits the ball on the nose. Unfortunately, right at the second baseman, Dozier, but he gets a fastball inside, kind of inside outs it a little bit. Hits a rope right at Dozier. But as a hitter, you want to hit the ball hard. You can't control where it's going. And, you know, that's still a good feeling. You're not happy with the result, but it's still a good feeling of having a good at bat.
Now here's Mitch, who hit the ball pretty hard his first time up. Skied to deep center field. He takes ball one high and away. Moreland hitting at 271 as Hughes comes back to him with a good fastball at the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike. Mitch, over the last month of play, and covers 27 games now, has hit 295. Has gotten things in order pretty well offensively. Fouls off the next pitch. And of course, playing every day now, he is the everyday first baseman with Prince Fielder down for probably the rest of the year. Rangers are assuming that Prince won't be available. If they say if he happens to beat the timeline coming back and can get a few at bats later in the year, that's fine. But they're certainly not going to count on that. 1-2 to Moreland. Pulled on the ground, diving stop by Mauer, and he feeds on to Hughes for the out. Now before Adrian Beltre comes up, let's take time for a Mazda game break with Dana Larson. Dana. All right, Dana, thank you. Well, Cobb's got to throw a few pitches inside and get the people from hitting it back up the middle at him.
That would probably be smart.
Adrian Beltre takes a ball low and outside, the breaking ball off the outer edge. Adrian pushed Arcia, the right fielder, all the way back to the wall in right field, and he lines one up the ladder goes Mauer. Could pick it out of the air. Well, a couple of balls hit hard by the Rangers, but 3 up, 3 down the result. After 2.5, Rangers 2, Twins 1 on Fox Sports Southwest. Texas Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find Southwest Airlines fares online only at southwest.com. Yeah, nice evening here in Minneapolis, Target Field, just on the west side of downtown Minneapolis. A 2-1 ball game as we head to the bottom of the 3rd inning. Twins come to bat with Eduardo Escobar, the number 8 hitter, to start things off against Scott Baker. Escobar, kind of a thorn in the Rangers' side yesterday early in the game. Had a couple of hits, drove in a run, and just couldn't seem to make a pitch to him with somebody on base. 347 the average overall. Rangers not the only ones having trouble getting this little guy out. 1-1 now the count. Escobar 2 for 3 with a double and that run driven in yesterday. Rip and a miss. It's a ball and 2 strikes.
Well, Escobar handles the bat pretty well. Again, he's another guy that uses the entire field. We saw a little bit of that yesterday.
Baker goes to the line. And Escobar able to spoil a pretty good pitch by Baker. We'll try it again in a ball and 2 strikes. Escobar brings in a 4-game hitting streak to play here tonight. He has been particularly tough in this ballpark. He has a hit in each of his 11 starts here at home. A .450 average at Target Field. Off the plate inside, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Rangers play the infield just about straight away against Escobar. The outfield really swung around to the left. You can see Leonis Martin well over into left center field. Still 2-2. It was a good shot at the defense. Adrian Beltre about 20 feet off that line and back of the bag. Alex Rios a good 115 feet off the right field line. Another 2-2 is coming. And another foul ball.
You know, as a hitter, when you see that defense set up, they're pretty much telling you how they're going to pitch you.
Right.
You know, most young hitters don't figure that out until, you know, a few years into the big leagues. But if you go out there and you want to know how that pitcher's going to pitch you, take a look at the infielders, take a look at the outfield. They're telling you, hey, we're going to throw him away.
Our steel pitch tracker showing you the results of those pitches. The fly ball to left center field, but right there is Leonis Martin, and that played right into the spray chart. That's how the defense was lined up. No, 1 away, and now Aaron Hicks coming up. Folks, join Southwest Airlines in celebrating the arrival of nonstop love. Go to southwest.com/RangersLove to enter to win round trip tickets. A 1 away here in the third, and Aaron Hicks. If you were with us yesterday, we were talking about Hicks, who was a switch hitter until yesterday. He went in and told Ron Gardner, he said, look, I've had enough. I can't hit left-handed. And even though I've been doing it since I was 12 years old. Nice play by Odor to get the speedy Hicks. And there's where not switch hitting took a hit away from him. If he's hitting from the left side of the plate, there's no way you throw him out.
No, there's no way you throw him out. And first of all, if he's hitting from the left side, he probably doesn't get jammed.
Yeah.
And that might sneak up the middle, but you definitely don't get thrown out there if you're on the left side. And it's going to take this young kid, you know, some time to figure out how to hit from the right side after not doing it pretty much ever. He's been a switch hitter since he was a young kid. Yep. So it's not an easy thing to do to learn how to hit from one side at the major league level.
The guy who can hit pretty well from the right side, Paul Molitor. Not too shabby.
Not bad. Not bad. If you like a guy who can hit 330 every year,
it's boring though, doesn't it?
Score 100. I really don't know. I'd really like to figure that out. I would have liked to have figured that out at some point. Never quite made that.
Brian Dozier up for his second at bat. He takes outside. It's 2 balls and no strikes. Well, I didn't really mean you. It was kind of a figure of speech.
I just can't imagine that being.
I understand. Yeah. I was coming into the ballpark today, and they got statues of Harmon Killebrew and all those folks around. And I had to stop and shudder just a bit. I saw a Carew statue out there, and I start getting nervous every time I see him in that stance. I still have nightmares about him.
Not one of your favorite guys to face, huh?
I had no clue how to pitch him. None whatsoever. I didn't have a pitch that he couldn't hit and hit hard. 3-0 pitch, and that's down the middle of the Dozier. He must have hit, I bet he hit close to 500 against me. And I was kind of happy there wasn't more. Dozier, a fly ball to left as he let things off for the Twins tonight. He hammers one to left. That's going to be in for extra bases. Chu will play the carom off the wall, and Dozier motoring into second with a 2-out double. You got a pitch up in the strike zone. from Scott Baker and didn't miss it. 6th double of the year for the Twins second baseman.
Baker gets this one up and in. Actually, the ball looks a little bit out of the strike zone. But Dozier does a great job keeping those hands inside, keeping that ball fair, and driving it down the left field line for a double.
But now with the tying run out at second and 2 outs, you're dealing with Joe Mauer, who becomes a totally different hitter with somebody in scoring position. He will, if you allow him, use the entire field as well as anybody. And he hammers this one to right field. That's going to be in and for extra bases. Coming around third to score is Dozier. The throw goes into second. The slide, he's safe. Had an idea of what to look for on the first pitch. Joe Mauer got it and didn't miss it. RBI double. We're tied at 2.
Baker tries to get this ball inside and does get it inside, and actually it's a couple of inches off the plate, it looks like, but Mauer had a really good idea of what he was going to see that first pitch, and he didn't miss it and rifles it into the right field for an RBI double.
So we are back even now at 2 apiece, right where we started this game. Mauer at second base in scoring position for Trevor Plouffe, who went down swinging in the first inning. First pitch is high, and Jimenez now going to go out and say something to Scott Baker. Well, Baker got the first 2 outs of the inning. Got Escobar to line out to left center field. Then Aaron Hicks was out. A nice play by Rougned Odor. But then Dozier's drive to left set up the Mauer RBI double. Got some flashbacks. Oh my goodness, that's awful.
Easy.
Yeah, that's awful. Yeah, when Rod was with the Angels, the hitting coach, he used to start getting nervous when he saw me come over there to talk to him before him. He could go and get a bat someplace, find a bat, start swinging, and get loose. He was something. Best hitter I ever faced.
The best hitting coach I ever had.
Was he?
Oh yeah, tremendous.
He could, one of those guys that knew how to do it, and he could tell you how to do it too.
Definitely. He could not only tell you how to do it, explain it. Most superstars can't explain to you how they do what they do.
Right.
But Rod was one of those that could not only explain it, he could get in there and show you.
Yeah.
And that was tremendous. And this was, years after he retired, he was still able to swing it.
Oh. Tremendous. A ball and 2 strikes to count to Plouffe. Mauer at second after the RBI double. A 2-2 ball game here in the bottom of the third. Scott Baker trying to keep it that way and get Plouffe. Popped him up. Moreland and Odor going down the line into foul territory. Mitch stays with it, makes a nice play to grab the foul pop. Side retired, but a pair of 2-out doubles put a run on the board for the Twins. We're going to the 4th inning. Rangers 2, Twins 2. Fox Sports Southwest. brings you the next post-game fireworks show. And coming up on Friday, June the 6th, the fireworks show will follow the 7 o'clock game against the Cleveland Indians. $15 upper reserve seating section tickets are available at TexasRangers.com/special. And all you do is use the coupon code FIREWORKS. Alex Rios leading off the top of the 4th inning for the Rangers, a 2-2 ball game. Rios takes inside. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. Alex got the Rangers started in the 2nd inning. Led off with a base hit to right. Came around to score on Donnie Murphy's long sacrifice fly. And he lines this toward the gap in right center. That's going to plug the alley and go to the wall. Rios at second will stop there as Hicks gets the ball back in. And Alex Rios continuing to pummel Phil Hughes and target field. Well, he is shooting baseballs all over this yard.
Wow. Talking about on fire. Everything he hits, he's hitting it right on the screws and driving it. Not just, he's not rolling over or dunking it in somewhere. He's driving everything he hits. Drills this one in the right center field. Second hit on the night. Nice piece of hitting.
Putting a small bucket of balls out there in the alleys. Alex Rios is. Now, Chris Jimenez, who singled to center right after Rios' first single. Now up there trying to bunt his way over to get Rios over, I should say, and takes outside for ball 1. Ron Washington saying, yes, he will a lot of times, telling the hitters to do whatever they have to do to get the runner from second to third. And I don't know that the skipper has seen enough of Chris Jimenez to know whether he's a very good bunter or not. And judging from that attempt, he's not. That was kind of a stab.
Yeah, I mean, when you've got, guys that are accustomed to hitting in the middle of the lineup and can drive the ball, they're in the middle of the lineup for a reason. That means they probably don't sack bunt a whole lot. But, on Ron Washington's team, he wants everybody to be able to bunt because you never know when he's going to have you do it. He likes to play the game of baseball.
1-1 count. Again, Jimenez around a bunt. Gets it down well on the third baseline, but it's going to roll foul. Right idea. Just got off on the dirt. If it stays on the grass, that's a good bunt for Jimenez, but rolled off just across the white line. We'll come back and try it on a 1-2 count.
Jimenez gets it out there and kind of pokes at it just a little bit, and that's what gave it that extra little curl just to go foul. If you keep that bat head still and just let the ball hit it and make contact, it's going to go where it's supposed to go. You can't stab at it.
1-2 now. Jimenez back in the batter's box. Alex Rios at second. He's there after a leadoff double. Rangers now with 5 hits. Twins with 3 hits tonight. Kurt Suzuki going through a series of signs, and Jimenez, that's long enough. I'll take a little time here. Chris now 8 out of 15 on this trip, and the Rangers now 3rd in the American League with runners in scoring position at 276. Again around the bunt, he bunts through it and he struck out. Hughes looked like he came back with a breaking ball, and Jimenez couldn't get the bunt down. 1 gone.
Breaking ball is a tough pitch to bunt. Usually, you like the fact that it's going down. It pretty much looks like, hey, you can bunt it and it's going to be on the ground and you're not going to pop it up. But I'm from the school, if a curveball is a tough pitch to hit, it's a tough pitch to bunt as well.
Yeah. Well, Hughes gets his first strikeout of the night, and it was a big one now with Rio staying at second. 1 out for Leonis Martin. Martin, a sacrifice bunt, his first time up there. Hughes a check of second, and Martin fouls back that first fastball. It is 0-1.
This is what I was talking about a little earlier. When the Rangers typically get their pitch, they haven't been missing it. And I know Martin would like to have that one back. That probably would have been a line drive to left field.
0-1 pitch from Hughes. Well, it's been that kind of a month for Martin. Leonis got off to a real good start swinging the bat, especially at home. But month of May has not been very kind to him. He's hit just .236 in the first 21 games this month. End of April, he was up .308, and that's kind of tailed off. He does have Rios at second, though, here. And a rip and a miss. It's 1-2. And Suzuki out to say something to Phil Hughes. Hughes, a 27-year-old out of Mission Viejo, California. Same area that Tanner Shepard is from. And Shepard, by the way, down in Round Rock now. Will continue his rehab down there. He's, I believe, supposed to get an inning in either tonight or tomorrow, and possibly be able to rejoin the Rangers bullpen sometime next week. Call strike 3. That back door was wide open for Phil Hughes, and he nailed it. 2 gone.
Hughes tries to come in that back door, and wow. Steel Fox track doesn't say it was a strike.
No.
It's a little wide.
Unfortunately, Mike Estabrook, the home plate umpire, said it was a strike, and he's the one that counts. And that's sometimes good, sometimes bad. In this case, Leonis Martin, if you ask him, it's not good. Here's Donnie Murphy, who was robbed of a 3-run home run his first time up. He sent a ball over the wall in center, but Aaron Hicks got back there and pulled it back into play. It ended up being a long sacrifice fly. Donnie Murphy now with 10 runs driven in. He can do some more damage here. We've got Alex Rios at second base. 2 outs in the top of the 4th inning. Hughes a look back at Rios and misses high and away. 2 balls, no strikes.
I don't think Hughes wants to throw Donnie Murphy a fastball again.
You know, when you get a hitter that made that much noise the first time that he hit a ball off you, you get a little gun shy. Yeah, your catcher says, "Hey, I'm still a little bit deaf from that. Could you throw him something he doesn't get quite the same crack of the bat on?" 2-0 the count. Broken bat roller out to short. Escobar double pumps and fires on to first. So Rangers not able to do anything with the Alex Rios double to lead things off. He is stranded at second. On to the bottom of the 4th. 2-2 the score.
This game until they got to the ballpark. So for catcher Chris Jimenez, he just knew he was going to have Scott Baker to catch today, and knew Bake used to be with the Twins.
the way it worked out, it actually worked out really well. And with Bake getting a chance to go against his old team, you know, there's I'm sure a little bit extra motivation for him. And I was kind of goofing around with him today, saying he's probably going to throw nine, probably a no-hitter. But hopefully, you know, we get through a couple innings here with him, and I know he'll do all right.
Yeah, unfortunately, that no-hitter thing, a thing of the past. But Scott Baker doing okay against his former mates out there, and so is Chris Jimenez calling the catch behind him there, guys.
All right, John, thank you. Well, they're both dealing with a guy now who broke up that no-hitter and the shutout, as a matter of fact. Oswaldo Arcia, who's homered to right center field first time up there, and he takes a strike. 1-1 to Arcia. 174 the overall average. Arcia at AAA down and got himself back together, hit over 300. Pitch outside. Waited 22 games for Rochester and had 18 runs driven in, hit 312 for the Red Wings. Now back in the major leagues as of yesterday, and he's playing right field, batting cleanup. And he gets a towering pop-up coming down the line from first. Mitch Moreland into foul territory and makes the catch for out number 1. Well, Arcia, and that's about how high his home run went, too. They're both way up there. This one staying closer to home plate.
This is a tough play for Mitch Moreland. The wind is kind of howling right now, and you don't really know which way it's going to go, especially the higher it is.
Best guess and hope you're in the area?
Pretty much. Hopefully you got some buddies around you that might be able to help you out.
Now Josh Willingham, ground ball to short his first time, and the first pitch spins him around inside. 1 ball, no strikes. Willingham hit by a pitch yesterday, his first at bat in the big leagues after coming back from a broken wrist that he had in a hit by pitch.
It can't be too comfortable. Your last at bat, you got hit, and you go on the DL, and your first at bat back, get hit again.
Bad reminder. There have been pitchers known to just remind you that how much that first one hurt, just to keep it fresh in your mind.
Something tells me you might have been one of those.
No. 1-1 pitch. That's low and outside, 2-1.
You just saw people that did that.
Yeah, the older guys told me about it.
Right.
I like to have guys foul one down their foot and then throw one again right down there. And here, do it again. 2-1 pitch. Baker has it go by the flag down attempt and then right out to Odor, and Rubenett throws him out, 2 gone. Folks, we invite you to watch Chevy Hometown Kids every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock right here on Fox Sports Southwest, where it's not about the score, it's about the experience. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 4th inning for the Twins, a 2-2 game. Chris Parmalee, the left fielder, now up there batting from the left side against the right-hander Scott Baker. And his sinker is a little bit low, 1 ball, no strikes. Parmalee flied out to right field his first time to the plate. Baker back to him. And Parmalee trying to hook that one and fouled it straight down. It's 1-1. Parmalee, you remember the first time, he had 3 pitches right in on his knuckles and finally got a little bit of the bat out. Hit a kind of a lazy fly ball to right field, but Scott Baker just stayed right inside on him. Looked like on that last swing that Parmalee remembered that.
Trying to get the head out a little bit.
Yeah. Another one in there, and he's okay. I'll get away out. And Scott Baker standing out there. That's fine. You hit that as far as you want to. It's foul. And it's a strike. And where Jimenez is sitting that target.
Yeah, we talked about that the other day, where you said you throw a pitch to a guy that was a pull hitter, and he'd pull it, and you just knew it was a strike. That's all it was, a long, hard strike.
And the next one's popped up. Beltre, a long run over. He was playing over towards shortstop, and Adrian gets there in time, and Parmalee just kind of flips the bat in disgust at home plate. It's a 1-2-3 inning for Scott Baker and the Rangers. We're going to the 5th. 2-2 the score. upcoming schedule for the Rangers. The rest of this month is going to be spent on the road. They have 2 more here after tonight in Minnesota. Then it's on to the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. for a weekend series against the Nationals. Day off Monday. And to begin the month of June, Rangers back home to face Baltimore, Cleveland, and Miami. Progressive showing you that. And tomorrow, Gibson and Joe Saunders. Saunders making his first start for the Rangers since getting hit in Tampa Bay on that left ankle. Sustained a fracture. He's raring to go for tomorrow evening. A 7 o'clock start right here on Fox Sports Southwest. Rougned Odor, who doubled the last run home for the Rangers. That was in the second inning. Takes outside for ball 1. Odor now with 8 runs driven in. It's just his 12th start at second base for the Rangers. Get him on the fist and a fly ball out to right. Arcia toward the line, back a little bit. Makes the catch. And Odor is retired, 1 away, back to the top of the Ranger order.
Because we were talking earlier about, Carew and, facing you and you not liking it. Well, we've looked up those numbers.
Uh-oh.
And they're not nearly as bad as you think. 8 for 28. That's it.
You're kidding. It sure seemed like a lot more than that.
That's the word.
It seemed like a lot more than that. I know that I struck him out one time, and it was on a bad call. That was the only time that I got him swinging to look at a pitch that was anywhere close to the strike zone.
Wow.
I wish there must be a slander law or something about that, having numbers like that out on available. Got to be bad. Libel, slander, whatever it is. Shin-Soo Choo 0 for 2 tonight. He has flied out and grounded out. Count of 1 ball and 1 strike. Takes that pitch off the inside corner. 2-1. Choo back in the outfield for the first time since early in the Detroit series. Still the American League leader with that .432 on base percentage. Mauer kind of falls to his right, makes the catch, and on to Hughes covering for out number 2. Joe's used to having dirt all over that uniform and catching gear, but first base he found a way to get some dirt on there.
He did. I think he probably likes this way of getting dirty much better than being behind the plate.
Probably. Mauer, a 9-time All-Star behind the plate for the Minnesota Twins. This is his first year starting the season as the first baseman. He played there quite a bit in the past, off and on, but he is exclusively now a first baseman. Base is empty, 2 away for Elvis Andrus, who is 1 for 2 tonight. Elvis had a single back in the first inning. Last time up, hit the ball sharply, but right at the second baseman, Dozier. 0-1 pitch. That breaking ball is just off the outer edge. A ball and a strike. Hughes now has retired the last 5 Rangers that he has faced. And Elvis not offering at that breaking ball away. 2-1. See the breakdown of fastballs and off-speed pitches. Elvis drives one to left center field. That's hit pretty well, but plenty of room out there for Aaron Hicks. Into the alley, makes the grab, and the Rangers are gone in 1-2-3 fashion. We've played half the ball game here at Target Field. It's the Rangers 2 and the Twins 2 on Fox Sports Southwest. Wednesday, and the Rangers are hosting a very special Fields of Fashion pregame event. Your ticket includes a pregame buffet at the Jack Daniels Club, an MLB merchandise goodie bag worth $75, a look at new women's merchandise, OPI manicurists, and a ticket to the game against the Marlins, and a whole lot more. Just visit TexasRangers.com/fashion to learn more and get your tickets. Bottom of the fifth inning. Rangers and Twins knotted up at 2, and Scott Baker will face the bottom third of the Minnesota order. Kurt Suzuki, Eduardo Escobar, and Aaron Hicks. First pitch is grounded to short. Elvis gobbles that up. And on one pitch, Kurt Suzuki is out. Now Escobar. Time now before Escobar comes up. A Mazda game break. Here's Rick Renner. Rick. All right, Rick, thank you. It's 2-2 here also. Eduardo Escobar, the hitter who flied out to center field his first time up. Baker back to him, the 1-0 pitch. And that is right down the middle. Good sinker from Baker. Scott Baker did a very good job. Still down below 60 pitches, and he has one out here in the fifth inning. So he has been very economical tonight against his former club. Tried the back door and found it wide open. It is 1-2.
Well, I like what he's doing. He's keeping the ball down in the zone, and for the most part, he's stayed out of the middle of the plate.
Yep.
He's made a couple of mistakes out there, but for the most part, he's been on the corners, and when he misses off the plate.
And that's the key, I think, Mac, and you know this as well as anybody, that the more you're able to make good pitches, the more pitches in the middle of the zone you can get away with on that particular ball game.
There's no question about that.
This ball hit high in the air to dead center field on his horse, Leonis Martin. He is going to run it down right at the edge of the warning track as he steps onto the cinder. Boy, Escobar gave that a pretty good ride to dead center field, but Leonis with that good closing speed able to track it down for the second out. Now Aaron Hicks coming up, our AT&T U-verse Rewind. We'll show you that not only can Aaron Hicks hit a little bit, he can also play center field a little bit, taking a 3-run home run away from Donnie Murphy back in the second inning. Turned that 3-run home run into a long sacrifice fly. Donnie Murphy giving him a salute as he walked off the field. And here is Hicks taking strike one. 196 for the former switch hitter. The home run 8 driven in. Ironically, his lone home run came as a left-handed batter. He hits that hard but pulls it foul outside third. And the count moves in Scott Baker's favor at 0-2. Baker really jammed Hicks the first time. He hit one right past the mound that I'm not sure would have gotten to the dirt on the infield had Odor not picked it off first. Threw across his body and got him. In the count here, 0-2. Tried to entice him with that breaking ball, and Hicks would have none of it. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I think Hicks right now is looking in.
Yeah, I think you're right. That stays with you a while, doesn't it, Mac? You get jammed pretty good, and you remember that for a while?
You do remember it for a while.
Got him swinging. Went up with the fastball, and Scott Baker gets the strikeout. He has now set down 7 straight Twins. We have finished 5 in the Twin Cities. It's an official ball game. 2-2 the score. the Sonic Slam Inning, brought to you by Sonic. Tonight's jackpot is worth $1,200 and dinner for two at Sonic Drive-In. Tonight, the Rangers are hitting for Loretta Eagleman from Irving. And if a Ranger hits a grand slam this inning, Loretta Eagleman from Irving will win $25,000. You can register at any participating Sonic restaurant. The middle of the order for the Rangers, Moreland, Beltre, and Rios to face Phil Hughes here in the sixth. The 2-2 game. And Moreland skies one to left. Shallow, on comes Parmalee, still coming on, being waved off by the shortstop and Escobar, and the ball falls in. Looked like Escobar at the last second shied away. He heard Parmalee coming in, and Escobar, instead of giving way to the outfielder, tried to make the catch and didn't make it.
Right, that's Parmalee's ball all the way. As soon as that outfielder calls it and you're coming in, you've got that infielder going back. Even if that infielder is underneath the ball, you see Escobar, he's still moving a little bit, but Parmalee, didn't give way. He's calling for it. Escobar is supposed to get out of the way.
The outfielder really can't look down to see where the infielder is, can he?
No, neither one of you can take your eye off the ball and look for the other one. You have to know where one another is in that situation.
Well, that's going to be a base hit for Moreland, so he's aboard to start this inning. And there's a shot right back through the box. Boy, that made Phil Hughes get down quickly as Beltre almost spun his cap around. Well, back-to-back singles. The Rangers, same way they started off the second inning when they scored their 2 runs. Singles to begin things. Now Alex Rios will come up.
Beltre's been swinging the bat good, and he gets first pitch fastball right out over the middle of the plate and drills it right by Phil Hughes' head.
You know, hitters don't forget being jammed. Pitchers don't forget being knocked down like that either. You can see the whole thing unfold before you. The slider just getting outside and the bat intercepting it, and the thing coming right back at you. And a little bit of a scream coming out of your mouth, whether you want to or not.
For me as a hitter, hitting a ball like that right back up the middle of the pitcher and making him move or jump out of the way, that was a home run for me.
Yeah.
That was like a home run for me. Because like you said, he's going to remember that the next time up.
Oh, you can't forget that. A little conference now, and Hughes ready to work to Alex Rios. First pitch slides off the outside corner. 1 ball, no strikes. Rios 2 for 2 tonight against Hughes. And that's really not much news because Alex now hitting about 500 against Hughes in his career. This is going to add to that. Down the left field line, a fair ball. No, it is not. It's a foul ball. Just at the last second hooking, and goes out of our sight the last 3 or 4 feet down there. Couldn't quite see where it was, but immediately third base umpire Mike DeMuro throwing up the hands. Just by that much.
Wow.
3 feet. No, Rios will come back and try it again. Alex now is hitting exactly 500 against Phil Hughes. 13 for 26 in his career. 5th highest average on the road, as you can see, for Alex Rios. Check swing, and the pitch veers inside. It's 2 balls and a strike. Well, the Rangers making more noise here against Phil Hughes in the 6th inning. Hughes had retired 6 straight. And Mitch Moreland led off with a bloop single, and then Adrian Beltre right back up the middle. Now Rios. Double play ground ball to short. Second for 1. Returned to first. Dug out by Mauer. And Alex Rios doing something he's done more than anybody in the American League. That's grounding into double plays. Does it again here. That is the 13th double play that he has grounded into. On to third goes Moreland, but they're now 2 outs.
Hughes makes his pitch, hits his spot, down and in to Alex. And Alex rolled it over to shortstop, and it's doubled up on a 6-4-3. So nice pitching by Hughes.
And that'll be up to Chris Jimenez if the Rangers are to score in this frame. Jimenez 1 out of 2. Fouls the first pitch high in the air, but down the right field line back into the seats. It is 0-1. Jimenez a single back in the 2nd inning. Last time up, He had Rios at second and nobody out, and tried to bunt him over, and bunted through a third strike for a couple of ill-fated attempts. And that's way outside. Nice backhanded stab by Kurt Suzuki. 1 ball and 1 strike. Jimenez, who the Rangers originally got on a waiver claim right at the end of March from the Oakland A's, has Moreland down there at third. And the Rangers 275 as a team with runners in scoring position. And it's 2-1 now. Jimenez made the Rangers opening day roster, and then the second day of the season the Rangers designated him for assignment. He ended up taking free agency and eventually re-signed a minor league deal with the ball club and was called up a week ago. 2-1 the count. Hughes working from the stretch with Moreland at third. Shot swing, and the appeal to first. He went around. Here's Pat Hobert. 2-2.
Wow, we talked about that before, Buzz. I think it's, every umpire has a different thing that they look at to determine if that hitter swung or not. It's always been a difficult call for me unless the guys just absolutely win.
Right. Now the 2-2. Foul away. Yeah, I probably should tell folks to remember, when you see the angle we get on our telecast, it's not from right down the line. It's a little deceiving because it is from near the dugout, so you're looking out at not the same angle the umpires see. It's as close as we can get, though, unless somebody puts a camera in the bag at first or third, which they may do in the near future.
That's the next thing.
Another 2-2 pitch. Loop to right field. Falling in a hurry. It's down for a base hit. In to score is Moreland. And Chris Jimenez again coming through. A huge 2-out base hit. The Rangers take a 3-2 lead. Jimenez has had some big hits in the last week for the Rangers, and a lot of them with 2 outs, just like that one, getting their job done.
This is what's making this Rangers team so good right now. They're getting 2-out RBIs, and if you're going to win, you're going to need to get 2-out RBIs for sure. And this is a great at bat by Jimenez, just fouling off a couple of tough pitches, and gets that one and just dunks it out in the right field.
Yeah, we may want to remind folks too. I'm sure most of you know, but some folks may be offended by the way we say Chris's last name. He does say Jimenez. It's him. It's not us. We had to ask a few times, but he wanted to emphasize that it is Jimenez. It's not the Spanish pronunciation of Jimenez.
So now maybe I'll stop getting some of those tweets.
Have you been getting some?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Here's Leonis Martin, who is 0 for 1. He's had a sacrifice, and he is struck out. Gets that pitch up a little bit, fouls it straight back. It's 1-2. Now the Rangers taking the lead with 1 here in the 6th inning. They lead at 3-2. They have out-hit the Twins tonight, 8-3. Leonis Martin trying to keep this inning going. Leonis now just 3 for his last 18 trips to the plate. So it has been a bit of a struggle for the Rangers center fielder. It's low and outside, 2-2 now. Martin, the sign from Cuba, defected, of course, several years ago, and the Rangers signed him, developing him in the minor league system. He and Yoenis Cespedes, you can imagine this, were the 2 center fielders on the Cuban national team for a couple of years. Chopper right at Mauer. A step off the bag, and he goes back to first, and that will do it. But the Rangers take the lead. They get a run on 3 hits in strand 1 after 5.5. It's now the Rangers 3 and the Twins 2. Rangers baseball on Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealer. Take the EcoBoost Challenge to see why Ford is the best in Texas. Well, the Rangers have regained the lead. A beautiful evening here in the Twin Cities. Sun setting at about 8:45 or so. Rangers 3 runs on 8 hits through the first 6 innings. Twins 2 runs on just 3 hits against their former teammate Scott Baker, who has thrown the ball extremely well tonight. This in stark contrast to the outing that he had against the Tigers the last time out. He has really been throwing the ball well in good command. He will face the top of the order here in the Twins half of the 6th. Ryan Dozier doubled his last time up, came around to score. He was the first of back-to-back 2-out doubles. He and Mauer teamed up to tie the ball game at that juncture. That was back in the 3rd. 1 ball and 1 strike. Baker still a very modest 66 pitches thus far. Right-hander back to the plate. Misses low and away. 2-1 now.
And I think if you look at his outing tonight and his outing against the Tigers, I think there are a few reasons why he's pitching better this outing. So number 1, he's hitting the spots.
Yeah.
His command is much better.
That ball is shot down the left field line, but it's going to hook back into the seats. And it's 2-2.
Yeah, the command is there. And he's also pitching against a different team. That Tigers team is a much better hitting team than this Twins team. But I think the biggest reason is he's hitting the spots. He's not leaving much out over the middle of the plate.
Well, Ron Washington, about this time of the game now with Scott Baker, 70 pitches or so, and getting into the 6th inning, started keeping a close eye on him. He and Mike Maddox, Wash and Mike Maddox, making sure that they give their ball club the best opportunity to win. There's a swinging strike 3, as looked like Dozier was looking for something other than a fastball, and he was very late pulling the trigger. 3rd strikeout for Baker. He has now retired 8 consecutive hitters.
Well, he goes right after Dozier and hits that outside part of the plate. You see Jimenez put that target up there right on the outside portion of the plate and didn't have to move that glove. Baker hit that spot perfectly.
Well, that brings up Joe Mauer for his 3rd at bat. Mauer, the RBI double in the 3rd. Extended his hitting streak by 1 more. It's now 7 straight ball games. And he takes that sinker at the knees for strike 1. Well, Mauer went up there with a plan last time, and he got the pitch inside, maybe a little bit off the plate even, but he was looking in there and pulled the double right off the wall on a 1-hop. 0-1 pitch. Off speed, and that drifts over the outside corner. It's 0-2. Baker able to mess with Mauer a little bit. Get that sinker in and then drop something real off speed to him. So he comes back inside now. That's where he got Joe the first time up. 0-2 pitch. Got to go down and in, and it's 1-2.
I like the way Baker's changing up the pattern against Mauer. First 2 times up, he tried to jam him. He jammed him that first time up. The second time, he went back inside with a fastball, and Mauer hit it in the right field for an RBI double. And this at bat, he's staying away from him pretty much.
Tried that one. The appeal down to 3rd, and Mike DeRino said, no swing. It's 2-2. Mauer, a .287 hitter as he faces the 32-year-old right-hander Scott Baker. Baker, the Shreveport, Louisiana native, goes to the wind, and Mauer lines one to left center field, but that's right where Leonis Martin was stationed. Backs up a few steps. Out number 2.
And this is where hitting your spots pays off. If you're hitting your spots, you're going to pretty much, that hitter's pretty much going to hit it to where the defense is playing.
Yeah, there wasn't much else that Mauer could do with that pitch. I mean, he hit it real hard, but you have him. This ballpark has hurt Mauer from the standpoint of that ball in the Metrodome may go out of the ballpark when he hits it hard like that.
Right.
Here it's an out.
An out.
Now 2 away. Trevor Plouffe has struck out and fouled out tonight. 0 for 2 and up there hitting .246 as he faces Baker with the bases empty. Pitch off the outside corner, 2-0. Scott Baker signed out of Oklahoma State University. Played up there with the Cowboys, and back to the plate he comes. It's high and away. It's 3-0. Twins drafted him in the 2nd round of the 2003 draft. We mentioned toiled with the Twins until the 2012 year and had Tommy John surgery. He is now fully recovered from that. 3-0 pitch. And Plouffe for the green light, chops it foul. It's 3-1. Our Budweiser pitching line for Scott Baker tonight. Both runs are earned on just 3 hits, no walks, and that is a key stat for Scott Baker. 3 strikeouts in 5 2/3 innings of work. Right-hander deals a 3-1. Now 3-2. Went up and away, and Plouffe looked like he was dead set on swinging at something. And you look at the breakdown inning by inning, 19 in the 3rd, the only time that he has had anything resembling a high pitch count in an inning. A couple of 9-pitch innings. Now the payoff pitch to Plouffe. Breaking ball, called strike 3. Oh, he froze him like last week's leftovers. That'll do it. 3 up, 3 down. Baker's now retired 10 straight. We'll go to the 7th. 3-2 Texas. Walking up to Scott Baker, and I think you're saying, Scott, you've done a great job tonight. We'll take a look at the Ford game summary and show you how well he has done. How about just 2 runs on 3 hits against Scott Baker? You retired the last 10 that he has faced. Meanwhile, the Rangers, 3 runs on 8 hits against Phil Hughes. They've given him a 3-2 lead. Have the Rangers. As we head to the top of the 7th inning, Donnie Murphy leading things off. Murphy, Odor, and Chu. Phil Hughes, as would be his custom, has not walked anybody tonight. It's been about 2.5 years, I think, since Hughes walked somebody.
How do you do that?
I don't know. I have no clue at all. No, Hughes is really on a roll right now. I mean, he's getting up into rarefied territory. 147 batters faced coming into this game that he had not walked anybody. That goes back to April the 20th. And let's see, Donnie Murphy would be about the 19th that he's faced tonight. No more than that. I'll think of it in just a second. And Murphy shoots it out of play to the right side.
That's 25th.
Yeah. Yeah, 25th that Hughes has faced tonight. Well, Murphy's the 26th hitter. You add that on, that would be about 173. That's a whole bunch of folks to go without walking somebody. Skaggs showing you the location of those pitches. Breaking ball, and that just hangs inside. It's now 2-2 to Murphy. They listed a few from the good folks at Elias who handle all the stats as far as Twins pitchers. He's sneaking up on the likes of Brad Radke. Towering fly ball to left field. Parmalee looking up into the twilight trying to pick it out and finds it for out number 1. Well, Hughes now will face Rougned Odor. Brad Radke, who is famous for not walking anybody ever, had a streak back in 2005. Lasted a month, April the 14th to May the 15th. Faced 191 hitters without walking anybody. So that would be the next stop for Phil Hughes on this list. I'm going to look back to pitching coach I had when I first came up. Or first signed in Kansas City, actually. Bill Fisher, who was a minor league pitching coach for Kansas City. And for a long time, all around baseball. Fish went 84 innings, and I think it's still the major league record. 84 innings without walking a guy. Wow. And that's forever. Pitch to Rougned is a little bit high. It's 2 balls, no strikes. Odor 1 for 2 tonight. And an RBI double back in the second, driving in his 8th run of the year. Last time up, flied to right field. A rip and a miss, 2-1. Scott Baker, 6 very effective innings of work here tonight. He has been supported against a good pitcher in Phil Hughes by 3 Ranger runs. Now the 3-1 pitch on the way, and a little pop-up on the infield. Plouffe, the third baseman, backpedaling, makes the catch. Odor is retired. There are 2 outs now. Back to the top of the Ranger order for Shin-Soo Choo. Rougned 1 for 3 as he makes that U-turn, heads back to the Ranger dugout. Choo steps to the plate. 0 for 3 tonight, and Alexi Ogando loosening in the Ranger bullpen, and also got Aaron Porreta there. Porreta, of course, the left-hander. So we'll see if that means it's the end of the night for Scott Baker or not. Swinging strike for Shin-Soo. Choo has grounded out twice and flied to left field. Rangers leading 3-2. Hughes to the line. And misses up and in. 1 ball and 1 strike. Hughes against the Rangers went 0-1 last year. Member of the New York Yankees. It's a strike to the inside corner. Last time he won against the Rangers, you have to go back to 2009. Through 8 shutout innings down at Globe Life Park against Texas for his last victory. The pitch in the dirt. It's now 2-2 to Choo. And he has been very effective here tonight. And I say it because he's facing a team that's been swinging the bats as well as anybody in baseball. Scott Baker, the beneficiary tonight of a modest output by this Ranger team, just 3 runs. But he's made it stand up. Called strike 3, and Choo knew it. Well, Hughes with the strikeout, another 1-2-3 inning. Rangers gone in the 7th. Will take the stretch at Target Field. It's the Rangers 3 and the Twins 2 on Fox Sports Southwest. Sports Southwest and the Texas Rangers are bringing you savings for this summer. You can purchase $34 all-you-can-eat seats or $28 corner box seats for select games in June, July, and August. Just visit TexasRangers.com/specials and use the coupon code FOXSports. Good savings for you when you come out to the ballpark and come out and watch this ball club that's become even more exciting than usual. You know, it's almost like you never know what's going to happen when you come out to the ball game. And we're headed to the bottom of the 7th inning, showing you the perch up here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Target Field. Mark McLemore, Steve Busby with you tonight. Showing you some Ranger offense has been good enough so far. Now it's going to be Aaron Paredes' turn to take over and see if he can make it manage in the 7th inning. Oswaldo Arcia takes a breaking ball from Pareda in for strike one.
The scouting report on Aaron Pareda, this is his 15th ball game. 2-0 record and a 3.4 ERA. Gotten off to a great start. His first 9 outings, it only given up 8 scoreless innings. It's a little bit of a speed bump here lately.
It's been a little more difficult for him. It looks like he might have run into one of those fatigue cycles. I think that relievers say they get from time to time. Some guys call it a dead arm. Some guys just say, well, my timing's off, whatever. You just don't get the results that you're used to getting for a little while. Pitch outside to Arcia, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Pareda last worked 3 days ago in Detroit. Worked an inning, gave up a run on a couple of hits. Facing Arcia, the left-handed swinger, and then a right-hander in Willingham, another left-hander in Chris Parmalee. The 1-2 got him swinging with that big fastball at 96 miles an hour, and Arcia couldn't catch up. 1 gone. That's what you have to love about Aaron Pareda. He brings that from the left side.
Yes, doesn't look like he's got the dead arm syndrome going right now. Not with that one.
And Skaggs showing you that might have been a little bit high, but Arcia not taking any chances. So Pareda asked to get 1 hitter. He got the left-hander Arcia, who had homered earlier in the game, and that's all that Rod Washington's going to ask him to do. He's going to the bullpen again, and Alexi Ogando is trotting in from left center field. Ogando to take over here in the 7th with the bases empty and 1 out. Rangers leading 3-2. We're back after this on Fox Sports Southwest. Three to 2 Texas, and Alexi Ogando now in from the bullpen to work with the bases empty and 1 out. He'll face Josh Willingham.
Alexi Ogando's scouting report, his 25th ball game with a 1-2 record. He's got 6 holds on the year, and over his last 6 outings, he's only given up 1 run in 5 2/3 innings. So he's been pitching pretty well.
Willingham takes the pitch low and outside for ball 1. Yeah, I guess, Mac, the thing that's still troubling about Alexi, the inconsistency, and it troubles him too. I don't mean to sound that way, but the average against him is really high, 315, and we're not used to seeing Alexi Ogando give up that kind of an opponent's batting average.
No, not at all. No, not at all. He comes, normally when he comes in, he's hitting the spots, and he's been having a little bit of trouble finding that consistency, like you said. And Washington, one of the things he's been doing, his last couple of outings is letting go 2 innings, and I think that might help him, settle things down a little bit.
Last time out was in Detroit, actually going 2 innings in that game and gave up a run on 2 hits. Pretty well hit left center field, but that is not going to carry to a point where Leonis Martin can't track it down. Left center field, and that is out number 2. Willingham hitting it to the big part of the ballpark. 2 gone now, and Chris Parmelee, the scheduled hitter, is not going to come up. Instead, it'll be Nunez coming off the bench. Eduardo Nunez coming up to hit for Chris Parmelee. Parmelee finished 0 for 2 tonight, and Nunez stepping in, hitting at .242 for the year. Pitch way outside for ball 1. Ogando ready, the 1-0 pitch. That is chopped down foul. Nunez against Ogando, 3 for 4. So that figured into Ron Gardenhire's thinking more than just the right-hander against right-hander. Low and outside, 2-1. But Nunez 0 for 3 as a pinch hitter this year. In the American League, you don't have guys that are specialists like you do in the National League as far as pinch hitters are concerned. You don't have to have the pitcher to pinch hit for all the time. So you see very few players that are carried just to be pinch hitters in the American League. 2-1 pitch. And that is a knee-high strike, 2-2. So Alexi, the 30-year-old from Santo Domingo, the Dominican Republic. Our Skag pitch tracker showing you Alexi wearing out the bottom of that strike zone.
You definitely like to see that. Keep the ball down in the zone.
2-2 pitch. Pop foul. That will reach the seats. We'll try it again. Mac, is that high batting average, the 315 average against Ogando, a function of his inconsistency with control?
Yes, there's no question about it. And, you see what he's doing right now tonight, keeping the ball down in the zone. One of the reasons he's been getting hit is because it's been up in the zone and not being able to really concentrate and keep it down consistently.
Another 2-2. Tried the breaking ball, and Nunez leaned on it. The count has gone full. If Nunez is able to extend this inning, Kurt Suzuki, the catcher for the Twins, waiting in the on-deck circle. There has not been a walk in this game tonight. Payoff pitch, and that's skied to left center field. Coming on, Leonis Martin calling everybody off, waiting for it to come down, and puts it away, and Ogando comes in and gets the out. Rangers now have retired 13 consecutive Twin hitters. We're going to the 8th, 3-2 Texas. Show you tonight's selection for our AT&T fan photo. And this comes from Shauna. A beautiful sign there. Texas Rangers neon sign. Appreciate that, Shauna. Very nice. Like your Ranger spirit. If you'd like to tweet your photo, just use hashtag Southwest Fan Photo, and we'll select one for select a photo to be shown during each of our telecasts on Fox Sports Southwest. And again, we appreciate the folks at AT&T and enabling this to happen. Casey Fiend, right-hander, comes out of the bullpen. Fiend now, with these numbers, will come in and face the Rangers.
Scouting report on Casey Fiend. It's his 22nd ball game with a 3-1 record and a 1.8 ERA. It's 4 walks in 20 innings. Hasn't given up a home run, 13 strikeouts.
The Fiend will face Andrus Moreland and Beltre in the Ranger 8th inning. Texas on top 3-2. They have out-hit the Twins 8-3. Elvis, first ball swinging, pops it up. On the right side, going out, the second baseman Dozier staying with it. And boy, he had to stay with it a long time. That ball tried to squirt out of his glove. And Elvis retired, went away.
Tough play. The higher that ball goes, the more the wind's going to wreak havoc with it, and you know it's swirling around a little bit. But Dozier was able to stay with it.
So Fiend now will face Mitch Moreland. Moreland had the looping single to left field that Escobar and Parmalee, the left fielder at the time, had a hard time coming together on. Or almost came together, and the ball dropped between them. Moreland came around to score the go-ahead run on the 2-out single by Chris Jimenez. Mitch 1 for 3. That batting average now at .275 as he faces Fiend. Outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Nunez, by the way, stayed in the ball game and is playing out in left field. Still, I'm really not sure why we had Nunez hitting for Chris Parmalee. Parmalee a left-handed hitter and Nunez a right-handed hitter facing Oquendo, but we haven't gotten any word that Parmalee might have an injury. If we hear something, we'll let you know. And Moreland fouling 1 straight down. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Casey Fiend, a 30-year-old from Santa Rosa, California. Lives now in Southern California down by Disneyland in Buena Park. Originally came up with the Detroit Tigers back in 2009. The 2-2 just off the outside corner. Mitch eyeing that one closely, and the count is full, so Moreland with 1 out. Trying to get aboard in front of the Ranger cleanup hitter, Adrian Beltre. Fiend's payoff pitch. Pulled on the ground. Mauer knocks it down. Leonard has the Fiend covering, and Moreland's retired. 2 away for Adrian Beltre. Joe Mauer laughing. You get Casey Fiend. That's the way to knock that thing down. You keep it in front of you somewhere around there.
Well, Joe's been put to the test tonight.
Yeah. Beltre, solid base hit to center field off of Phil Hughes his last time up. He's 1 for 3. Line on Hughes, by the way, 7 innings of work, 8 hits, 3 runs. They were all earned. No walks and 3 strikeouts. Casey Fiend set to work to Beltre, and he misses outside for ball 1. Beltre hitting an even .290 as he faces Fiend. He wasn't quite ready, and Fiend was, so Beltre backs out. Right-hander sets, and Beltre gets jammed. Hits a 2-hopper down to Plouffe at third. That'll do it. So Fiend has a 1-2-3 inning. Rangers gone in order. After 7.5 it remains. The Rangers 3, the Twins 2 on Fox Sports Southwest.
ballparks with this one. This is the last of the American League. John Radigan back here at Target Field, and we're getting ready for Rangers Live, presented by Esurance. We will bring it to you live from here tonight. All the post-game reaction from this one. We'll hear from Ron Washington. We will hear from the principal players in this one, too, as we head into the clubhouse and find out how they're all feeling at the end of this one. First, a little matter of about an inning and a half, guys, and then it's Rangers Live, presented by Esurance right after the game.
All right, John, see if Alexi Ogando and company can get this salted away. Alexi out there after getting the last 2 outs of the 7th inning, facing Kurt Suzuki, bottom third of the Twins order here in the 8th inning. Suzuki takes a strike. It is 1-1. Suzuki 0 for 2. He is lined to right field, grounded to short. Both those at bats against the starter Scott Baker. Suzuki 1 for 4 in his career against Alexi Ogando. Skies one high in the air and twisting out of play down the right side. And the count moves to a ball and 2 strikes. Ogando came on in relief of Aaron Pareda. Pareda started the 7th inning and faced just the left-handed hitting Oswaldo Arcia. Got him to strike out swinging. And then Alexi came in and got Josh Willingham and the pinch hitter Eduardo Nunez on fly balls to center. Back to the plate he comes. Ground ball up the middle, headed to center field, a base hit as Suzuki gets aboard to lead off the 8th inning. Not hit hard, but hit in an area where there were no Rangers. It's the 4th hit of the night for the Twins. That'll bring up Escobar.
Well, Alexi left one out over the plate, and Suzuki's a good hitter, and he's always hit well against this Rangers ball club. Singles one up the middle.
Here's the switch hitting Eduardo Escobar up there from the left side against Alexi. Coming down the line from third is Beltre. He fields it and will throw to first for the out. So the sacrifice goes 5-3. Into scoring position is Suzuki. He's at second with 1 out. And Aaron Hicks. Instead, it's going to be Pinto coming off the bench as the pinch hitter. So Hicks will be removed for the pinch hitter, Josmil Pinto. And Mike Maddox is going to head out to the mound, talk to his battery. Also Elvis in there to put in his 2 cents worth. Let me get a scouting report on Pinto. Well, while we wait, AT&T Uverse TV would like to remind you tomorrow we'll be right back here tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, as the Rangers and Twins hook it up for the 3rd time in this 4-game series. Adrian Beltre and Eduardo Escobar part of the foray here tomorrow night. Escobar 396 average at home. How about that? The conference concluded. Here is Pinto. Pinto has never faced Ogando in a regular season game. And the crowd here chanting for the big right-handed hitter. 243 the average overall. He is 0 for 3 as a pinch hitter this year. Ogando deals a fastball to the outside corner for strike 1. Alexi with a little extra giddy up on that.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was going to say. What I like about what Alexi's doing, he's consistently hitting 93, and he's throwing it right there on the corner.
Mm-hmm. The 0-1 pitch to Pinto. He just threw that fastball right on by him.
94.
No secret there. And here's what I brought with me tonight. See what you can do with it. And Ron Washington, Gary Pettis saying, yeah, that's what we got. And Ron Gardner says, I hope I have something to match that. No balls, 2 strikes. Jimenez with the signs. Ogando back to the plate. Popped up. That will reach the seats on the first base side. We'll come back and try it again at 0-2. Alexei apparently just getting loose now. 1, 2, and 3. 93 miles an hour, 94 miles an hour, 95 miles an hour. According to Skag, that last one right down the middle, 95. I'd give you a little something to think about. Ogando ready for another 0-2 pitch. Got him swinging. Went with a breaking ball, and Pinto, after seeing some high octane, couldn't hold up. 2 gone.
That's a nice piece of pitching by Alexei Ogando. He's pumping fastball after fastball and going up 93, 94, 95, and then drops a breaking ball at 83 miles an hour and down in the zone. So didn't leave a cripple hanging up there out in the middle of the plate to get hammered. So nice piece of pitching by Ogando.
That wasn't just a get-me-over breaking ball. Back to the top of the order. Now here's Dozier, and Brian Dozier takes strike 1. Dozier 1 for 3, had a double back in the 3rd inning. Came around to score. He's also struck out and flied to left field. 247 the average for the Twins second baseman. Kurt Suzuki, the runner at second. He singled to open the inning, was sacrificed to second by Escobar. Ogando, a long look back there, now comes to the plate and misses low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike. Dozier's double in the 3rd inning snapped a long over streak. He'd been 0 for 14 at the time that he had that double. And that 250 average pretty much in line with what his seasonal average is, 247. Suzuki at second with a halfway decent lead. The 1-1 pitch. Now 2-1. Well, this is the guy you want to go after right here. You do not want to have to face the next hitter, Joe Mauer, with the tying run at second base.
No, he just gets better when there are runners out there on the bases. I mean, that's what he does. He drives in runs.
Ogando sets the 2-1 pitch. In the dirt, it gets away, and down to third goes Suzuki. Pitch charge to Alexei Ogando. Kind of short hopped Chris Jimenez coming in there. The wild pitch isn't terrible, but the 3-1 count is bad. You want to make Dozier swing the bat here. Ogando to the plate. Outside, ball 4. And now you got to face Mauer. Very ill-advised walk for Alexei Ogando. And that is the first walk for either team tonight. Elvis in to say a few words to Ogando, see if he can get him in the right frame of mind now to face Mauer. Mauer's only at bat with men on tonight. He doubled to right field on the first pitch that he saw back in the 3rd inning. That brought home Brian Dozier with the second run of the game for the Twins. Joe Mauer 0 for 3 in his career against Ogando, but tossed that out the window. Completely different hitter when there's people on the bags, especially in a close ball game.
You know, and I like the fact that Elvis came in to just break things up for Alexei and remind him, hey, this is the hitter you need to go after. Don't worry about the runners at first and third. Make sure you hit your spots with this guy. But just to break things up for him, and you know, that's pretty much a coaching visit right there. And I like to see that from Elvis.
And Ogando able to drop in that breaking ball for strike 1 to Mauer. Alexei is set. And he tails that fastball off the outer edge. 1-1 to Mauer. Kurt Suzuki at third base. And over at first base is Brian Dozier. Rangers leading 3-2, and Alexi Ogando charged with trying to keep it right here. 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th inning. Out of play. 1-2. A good idea on that, trying to run the ball in a little bit on Mauer, and did a good job. Mauer with runners in scoring position. Overall, not having a great year. 188. But you put the game on the line, that's a little bit different. There's a tying run down there at third. Late in the ball game. Our Skag pitch tracker showing you that last fastball. And Mauer was a little late against. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Ogando okays the sign and sets. Pitch on the way. It's called strike 3. Bottom of the strike zone, knee high at 95. And Ogando lights up Mauer. And the Twins are thwarted. No runs, a hit, 2 men are left. We're going to the 9th. Rangers 3, Twins 2. Best hitters, best situational hitters in the game, and Joe Mauer with the tying and go-ahead runs on base in the 8th inning, and Ogando punched him out. That good low fastball to Mauer, and Mauer stood standing at home plate like a statue. Now we go to the top of the 9th inning now. Glenn Perkins, the Twins closer, on here to pitch the 9th.
Perkins coming in for his 23rd game with a 1-0 record and a 3.22 ERA. He's got 14 saves on the year, and that's tied for the most in the AL. Only giving up 1 home run and an opponent's batting average of .218.
Well, Perkins on here to face Rios, Jimenez, and Martin. And Danny Santana now has taken over in center field for Aaron Hicks. Santana, really the top prospect at shortstop that the Twins have, but also the ability to play center field. And told you about the outfield difficulties that Twins have had, especially in center, so they've had to employ Santana out there. Rios ahead in the count, 2 balls and no strikes. Alex tonight, 2 for 3, a single, a double. He has also scored a run. Hits this well to center field. Santana going back to home plate, against the wall. It's off the wall. And Karen's back toward the infield. Rios rounding second. He will motor into third with a slide. He is in, and a leadoff triple. And that ball was crushed. Wow. The AL best 6th triple of the year for Alex Rios.
You know, if this is a day game, that ball leaves the ballpark. I don't think Alex can hit one any harder than that. He hits a low line drive, just a missile. Straight away center field, gets a pitch out over the middle of the plate, and he's just been hammering the ball.
He's a home run shy of the cycle now tonight, and I hope he doesn't get the opportunity unless it's this inning
Let's hope
to get
not.
it. At third base now, the Twins, with nobody out, pulled their infield all the way in. And Chris Jimenez, who is 2 for 3, looking at kind of a gimme here. He puts the ball in play hard. And the pitch is high, 2-0. Well, Perkins greeted with a triple, and now dealing with Jimenez, and all the infielders at the cut of the grass or very close to it. Chris, an RBI single in the 6th inning. Takes a strike. It's 2-1. And our Jimmy John's freaky fast delivery of the game by Chris Jimenez. A looping drive to right, and freaky fast like that. The Rangers went from a tie ball game to a 3-2 advantage. Jimmy John showing you that delivery. Low and inside. It's 3-1 now to Jimenez. And Chris eyeballing Glenn Perkins. Alex Rios down at third after the leadoff triple. Rangers now 9 hits tonight. 3-1 pitch. Chopper to short and backhanded nicely by Escobar. He will throw out Jimenez, and Rios forced to stay at third. He's there with 1 out. And Leonis Martin coming up. This will be a tough test for Leonis Martin, facing a left-hander in Perkins. And Leonis has not been swinging the bat well, as we've told you, for the last, well, for most of the month, but particularly the last couple of days. He needs to put a ball in play here and see if he can get Rios home with a very important run. Rip and a miss, 0-1 the count. Martin, a sacrifice bunt in the 2nd. Simpson is struck out and grounded to first. Perkins from the stretch. Rip and a miss, 0-2.
This is a situation where it's probably Rios is probably going to be going on contact just to try to put some pressure on this defense. They're drawn in. If Martin can just put the ball in play, you might see Rios coming down that line trying to score.
Leonis trying to take the ball the other way, fouled it straight back. No balls, 2 strikes. And Joakim Soria getting ready to come in and hopefully close this game out. He is 8 for 8 this year in save opportunities. Chopper to short. Staying at third is Rios, as Escobar has it. That's out number 2. If he goes on contact, he probably makes it, huh?
Rios makes it. He can motor down that line. It's a little bit tougher when you've got the third baseman standing right next to you, so
yep.
That probably caused him not to have that on. You see how close Plouffe is at third base, and Alex really can't get much of a lead, so it's been a little bit tough for him.
Well, now there are 2 outs. The infield back to normal depth, and Donnie Murphy 0 for 2 takes strike 1 from Perkins. Murphy, that what was for a second anyway, a 3-run home run his first time up, turned into a sacrifice fly because Aaron Hicks yanked it back into the yard. Murphy now with 10 runs driven in, facing Perkins, and he hits a fly ball to pretty deep left center field. Nunez and Santana over in the alley, and Santana, the center fielder, makes the catch halfway back on the warning track. The Rangers with a leadoff triple, strand Rios at third. We're going to the bottom of the 9th. It's Joakim Soria time in the Twin Cities. 3-2 Texas. Fox Sports Southwest is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find Southwest Airlines fares online only at southwest.com. By AT&T Uverse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PICK-ATT. Rethink possible. And by your Texas Ford dealer. Take the EcoBoost Challenge to see why Ford is the best in Texas. Rangers clinging to a 3-2 lead. They've out hit the Twins 9-4, and their closer, Joaquin Soria, coming on to try and close this one out. He is an 8-for-8 save opportunities this year.
The numbers on Joaquin Soria's 18th game. A 1-1 record, like Buzz said, 8-for-8 in save opportunities. He's got 11 and 2/3 scoreless innings his last 12 outings.
And facing Trevor Plouffe to start things off, and strike one is dealt to the Twins' third baseman. Plouffe 0-for-1 against Joaquin Soria. That's just off the outer edge. 1 ball and 1 strike. Soria, 2/3 of an inning 3 days ago in Detroit. And he misses high. It's 2-1. Plouffe, Arcia, and Willingham in the bottom of the 9th inning. Plouffe has struck out twice and fouled out. Soria back to him. A slower hook and got the swinging strike 2.
Soria mixing things up already, going to the hook and keeps it down in the zone.
Skag pitch tracker showing that right at the bottom of the strike zone. 2-2 pitch. That's fouled away, and we'll come back and try it again. As we've talked about, Joaquin Soria with the ability to throw all 4 of the basic pitches, and you don't find many closers that are adept at throwing all 4 of them and have command of all 4 of them, to be quite honest. You've seen former Ranger Joe Nathan, where that's what we were talking about the other day with that. High ball left center field, and Leonis Martin gliding to his right. Plenty of time to get there. That is out number 1. Nathan, the only other closer that I can think of that uses all 4 pitches in today's game anyway.
Yeah, typically closers have, a couple of pitches, maybe 3, but you really don't find too many that have 4.
Jimenez out to talk to Soria. The one guy that you worry about from the left side of the plate up there right now is Waldo Arcia. Hit a home run back in the 2nd inning off of Scott Baker. Hit a moonshot out there that just got into the front row of the stands, right over the middle of the out-of-town scoreboard. Soria ready to go. That ball hit well to right field, way back and off the top of the wall into second base with a throw, and it's not in time. Arcia missing by a couple of feet of hitting that ball out and tying the game. But the Twins now with 1 out have the tying run in scoring position. Thought that was out when he hit it.
It sounded like it was out when he hit it, but fortunately that big scoreboard out there in right field kept it in the ballpark. I think if we're in any other ballpark, we've got a tie ball game on our hands.
Boy, that is right at the top of that. So Arcia now in scoring position. Josh Willingham, the hitter. Willingham has grounded out twice and flied to center field. Takes the breaking ball that drifts in over the inside corner for strike 1. Willingham is 1 for 3 in his career against Joaquin Soria. Soria okays the sign, a check of second. And the 0-1 pitch. Got him on the fist, fouled back. It's 0-2. Willingham now just coming off the disabled list. He did have 5 games at AAA, 5 games of rehab. Only went 1 for 19 down there, so that didn't help him as far as results, but he got his timing back, he said. Facing Soria with the game on the line, though, maybe a different story. Pretty tough to set that up in a rehab assignment.
Very tough to set that up. And, you know, when you're in a situation like this, and Willingham's been around a long time, you get yourself up for these kind of at-bats.
Soria, the 30-year-old, comes set. The 0-2 pitch, slow breaking ball, and Willingham just able to check his swing. Thing coming in at 68 miles an hour, and Willingham probably had time to have morning coffee and read the paper.
Wow, I don't know about you, Buzz, but I swung at that.
You're supposed to.
I swung at that for sure, and missed it twice.
The 1-2 pitch. 2-2. Skag pitch tracker showing that curveball could have been called a strike, but it wasn't. Last one obviously off the outer corner. 2-2 pitch. Now 3-2. Osorio got ahead. 0-2 and has tried 3 slower curveballs. One really slow one, and Willingham has not offered any of them. Though the count is full, and with 1 out, Eduardo Nunez is waiting in the on-deck circle. Ron Washington getting a little dry mouth going. Crowd at Target Field trying to encourage the hometown Twins. Soria's payoff pitch. Check swing, he went around. Strike 3. Well, he went with the 4th consecutive breaking ball and finally got Willingham to go around a little bit. 2 gone.
Nice piece of pitching by Soria. You know, that's called being confident in all of your pitches. You got a runner in scoring position, tying run at second base. You've already thrown 3 curveballs, and you come back with number 4 to get Josh Willingham check swing. That's when you know you have confidence in your pitch and what you can throw up there.
He threw in 4 breaking balls in a row. They were all different speeds. They went from 78 to 68. That is some kind of mastery of a breaking ball.
Wow.
Now Eduardo Nunez, who came on as a pinch hitter in the 7th inning and flied out to center, takes strike 1. Nunez hitting at .235. Soria studying the signs from Chris Jimenez. The right-hander is ready. Base hit to right field. Coming around third. Here comes the throw from Rios to the plate. It's not in time. The Twins have tied it up, and into scoring position goes Eduardo Nunez. A 2-out RBI single. Eduardo Nunez ties this game at 3. And now it brings up Kurt Suzuki with the winning run at second base. And Skag pitch tracker showing you that ball staying right in the middle of the plate and up.
Not where Soria wanted it. Rios comes up, makes a nice throw, but just a little bit up the line.
Well, that is the first blown save of the year for Joaquin Soria. Here's Suzuki, who is 1 for 3. And the breaking ball nibbles on the outside corner for strike 1. Suzuki singled in the 8th. He is 2 for 7 career-wise against Joaquin Soria. Eduardo Nunez, the winning run at second base with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning. Soria trying to gather himself now to bounce back from giving up the tying run. 0-1 pitch to Suzuki. 0-2. Suzuki got a hanger, but it was too high. 8 walk-off hits in his career for Kurt Suzuki, and managers of both teams letting this thing play out on the field. Oh, 0-2 the count. Now 1-2. Time called. Chris Jimenez and Joakim Soria trying to get together on the side. Now the right-hander's ready. Breaking ball pulled foul down the third base side. Pitch staying way up. Suzuki probably hit it the only place he could. Well, foul.
Soria going with another breaking ball. It's turned up here just a little bit too much. But when you've got a slow curveball like that right-hander gets out there, he's more than likely going to hook it foul.
Soria nods in agreement. The right-hander set. And Suzuki fouls it back. That little bull rush move that you see a lot of the pitchers on the Ranger Club use. Comes set and very quickly get that ball to home plate. Almost a quick pitch, but not quite. Trying to mess the hitter's timing up a little bit.
That's exactly what it is, and a lot of times it works because that hitter is trying to get in rhythm with that pitcher and that motion. And when you do that bull rush move, it's a little difficult to stay in that rhythm.
Suzuki able to check his swing. That breaking ball low and outside. And the count is now even at 2-2. Twins have come back with the 2-out RBI single by Eduardo Nunez to tie the game. Nunez took second on the throw, so he is in scoring position. Chris Jimenez out to talk with Joakim Soria, much to the displeasure of the folks here at Target Field. They want to make sure that they have their signs together for this 2-2 pitch. Infield and outfield play Suzuki just about straight away. Ground ball to Beltre at third. And running around him safe at third. And Beltre is going to ask third base umpire Mike DeMiro, so wait a minute. You can't go that far out to avoid the tag. And Ron Washington going to go out there and talk to Mike DeMiro, and it's where the rule gets a little bit nebulous, because the base runner establishes his baseline as he's running to the bag. And with the establishment of that baseline starts, that's where it's not really clear.
That's a tough one to determine. But it looked to me that even though where he's established that line, he still went a little too far out.
Yeah, from our angle, it looked like it. And obviously Adrian Beltre thought so. But in any event, well, here you get a replay from overhead. Now, theoretically, right there, he established the baseline. That's more than 3 feet on that side.
That's way more than 3 feet. Yeah, I would probably say 9 feet.
Yeah. It's not the straight line from one bag to the other.
No.
But that's way out of the line he established. Where he was when he started to go toward the bag should have been the establishment of the baseline. But Nunez got the call, and no, Rangers will have to stay with it. They have runners at the corners now, still 2 outs. And Eduardo Escobar is going to be the hitter. Here's Escobar, who is 0 for 2 tonight. A couple of fly balls and a sacrifice bunt. Mentioned Escobar, a big hit in yesterday's ball game. Early in the game, had a RBI double to left field. Takes inside from Soria for ball one. Escobar has never faced Soria in regular season play. Got Nunez at third, Suzuki at first base. The tying run is across. The winning run is at third. And the pitch is high as Suzuki takes second unopposed. Defensive indifference will allow him the extra 90 feet. 2 balls, no strikes to Escobar. Now they're going to intentionally walk Escobar to bring up Santana. Oh, the intentional walk to load the bases. Danny Santana will now come up to face Joaquin Soria. Santana is the 23-year-old from Puerto Plata in the Dominican Republic. Just making his first appearances of his major league career. Couldn't be much bigger a spot for the youngster. He takes a strike on the inside corner. Santana, a switch hitter up there from the left side against the right-hander Soria. Was a career .274 hitter at the minor league level. Winning run at third. A little nubber. Soria bobbles, and the Twins win it. In to score is Nunez. The Twins strike for 2 in the bottom of the ninth inning and walk off with a 4-3 win over Joaquin Soria and the Rangers. Joaquin Soria couldn't handle the little squibber off the bat of Santana. And the Twins with 2 in the bottom of the ninth tie it up and win it on the walk-off error. Well, that breaks the Rangers' 3-game winning streak, and also for the Twins snaps their 4-game losing streak. As the Twins, in a most unlikely fashion, walk off with the win here tonight. So 4-3 the final. Joaquin Soria, first blown save of the year, and his loss. Here's a look at that final play.
Now this is what speed does for you. Santana can get down that line. I know Soria knows that he can run. So going over to get that ball, I think he just rushed a little bit, took his eye off of it, trying to pick up first base just a little bit too soon, and wasn't able to get a handle on it. A little bit of close play anyway, because Santana can get down that line.
Frustration and then disgust in the face of Joaquin Soria, as the Rangers can't close out a 3-2 lead in the ninth. The Twins walk it off. 4-3 the final. We'll be back to Target Field to wrap things up right after this on Fox Sports Southwest.